Hi, I got this interesting FreeNAS setup in my VirtualBox VM. So in this setup, what I have done is, as you can see here, I got multiple drives. So let me show you in settings. So you can see here it has totally so and so ports, and in that you can see here in one of the disk SATA disk FreeNAS is installed. This is again a virtual disk, and below that you have multiple virtual disks created. So this is not a setup ideally suited for any production setup. So you can imagine this is done on a real physical system. Just imagine for a while. So what I have done is I have created a RAID level 10 pool, a ZFS pool. So with this what we can test its reliability, and also we can test what happens if you pull a couple of drives. And even I went a little bit forward, and I have also tested each time you upgrade your disk how it adjusts. So it worked beautifully well. Initially I started each drive. The reason it has got this name change is initially I named these drives as HDD1, HDD2, and so on. And then each time what I have done is I have shut down my FreeNAS system, and then the VM system, and then I have deleted the virtual drive, and then I have added once again another virtual drive, and I have included in the existing ZFS pool, because it is it says that so and so disk is drive is missing, and then you can just replace the same. So this way it has been fully reconstructed with, you can see here it is each of this drive, the virtual drive is around 60 GB. So please bear in mind, this is just a test setup. You should not ever do this sort of a setup for a real I'm sorry, in a real production usage. The reason is, if you create a virtual drive, it works fine, but you don't get any smart attributes. So since you don't get any smart attributes, you will not get any clue that in case if something happens in your RAID pools, ZFS pools, what happens is it will be clueless. You may get any failure more than couple of drives, and more than couple of drives in case like RAID level 10, or if it is RAID level 5, in case a couple of disks are failed. In that case you will not have any clue as such. I mean to say, sometimes you may even have partitions, or you may have these virtual disk images within the same disk, or spread across in bunch of hard drives. So in that case you will not get any clue, because that's what I'm going to also show, that in case if you create such a RAID, it is not going to report any smart attributes, and this is literally a bad idea in a production based setup. But it is a good learning curve. You can learn how to set up your ZFS pools, how to set up and fine tune your FreeNAS configuration and stuff like that. So let me not further delay. You can check before I boot. Let me show that. You can see here each virtual drive, you can see as I click it updates the port setting over here. Let me do a screen capture. I think I am not started the same. Yeah, so you can see here this is my storage controller, the SATA controller which I have created, and in this the FreeNAS is installed, and then followed by which you can have this various disks which are like virtual disks. So you can see here each time I update or click any of this virtual drive, you can see here its SATA port is highlighted over here. It is automatically selecting or showing in which port it has been attached. So this is what it is. So you can see here I have just created few of them, and I can also show inside where exactly this is done. So you can see here FreeNAS 9, and you can see these are the disk images, virtual disk images. You can see here each time you click, you can see below it is around roughly 64.4 GBs of space. I believe the extra 4.4 GB is its metadata or something, and then you get this usable 60 GB of space over here, which it is in the free virtual box. It is highlighted as. So what we can do is we can just close the screen and we can boot our FreeNAS. So you can see here the booting is halfway through, and it says importing the ZFS volume. I think this is the stage at which it is reading the contents of these various virtual disk images. In this case, because these are not real physical hard drives, so it is trying to read the same, and it is trying to create the ZFS spool which can be mounted remotely as an SMB share. So I have also done is I have configured a couple of ports. I can show you here. You can see I have created a couple of NIC cards, and what I have done is I have also enabled the port link aggregation. So you can see here if I say the shell, let me show the same if config. So you can see here I have set up a link aggregation, and I have done a load sharing option as well. So with that we can get this interface allocated through DHCP. So you can see here it is currently at 192.168.0.102. So what we can do is we can go to the browser, and let me connect the same over here 02. Yeah, as you can see here, it asks for credentials, so don't save. So you can see here this is the setup of what I have done. You can see here the network setup, and you can see here view link aggregations. It currently has one link aggregated port with two ports, EM0 and EM1. So this is again an interesting test, because you can also test various modes, and you can do performance testing and stuff like that, but you don't get close to a real physical setup. But it is, having said that, it is interesting. You can test the various features of FreeNAS. You can also, in case if you are an FreeBSD expert, you can also do various combinations of configuration, and you can test how far it works, and you can do some reliability tests, and you can do various performance tests on the same. So having said that, we can go to the storage. You can let me just show you the same. So what I have done is I have created various data sets. You can see here backup docs and Linux distros, music, pictures, scans and videos, YouTube. I have created it doesn't have much any data, it just has some sample data. So we can go down here. We can see here view volumes, and we can see here we can go here, and we can go to its volume status. You can see here it has this arrangement of this virtual disks, because inside anyway, once it is booted, it doesn't know it's a real hard disk or something. How you can check is you can go to view disks, and you can see here it doesn't have any smart statistics. It is just a kind of fabricated one. It doesn't have the real smart statistics, and this is where you should never do this setup in a production scenario, because if something is gone wrong, you can't detect the same, and you can't recover your data back. So you can see here that is not happening over here. So once in a while you can check the status. You can see here it shows this warning, it shows the current time, and it shows this warning SmartD is not running. So the reason is because these are not real hard drives. So we can close this warning, and we can see once I go back to my main system, you can go here, and then you can do a browse network, and you can see here I've created this NAS share as SMP share as Titan NAS. So it is appearing over here in my Ubuntu system. So I can click, and then I can mount anything which I want. Say let me mount this YouTube. So currently it doesn't have anything, so I can go to my RAID array. This is a RAID array which I have created in this Linux system using MDADM via webmin interface. So I can also show you that in case if you are interested. And local host colon 10,000. So this is my local system. Let me open this webmin interface. So let me go to Linux RAID. and we can see what exactly it has. The configuration, you can see here it has this MD0, and I have created a RAID of 2 physical hard drives. One is 3 TB Seagate and the other one is Western Digital 3 TB. Both are desktop drives, and with this I have created a large RAID pool as RAID0. This is like a small snapshot backup of my main NAS. So you can see here it shows RAID0 striped. Although it is not recommended, I just need a large pool of storage space. So I have some snapshot of the same. What I can do is I can use this I can use this disk, and it has some considerable amount of data. So we can do a quick test. You can go back and let me click here, and it opens this RAID array. You can see here, and let me go to my YouTube channel, and let me take one of the videos which I have done long ago. So you can see here these are a couple of my entire raw footage and as well as rendered videos. So everything, the project is stored in a tarball asset. So what I can do is each one is quite large. This is around 2.6 GB, this is around 4.8 GB, this is 5.3 GB. So let me pick it any of this. Let me do a copy and let me do a paste in the FreeNAS virtual VM asset. So let me do a paste, and it says currently, oh yeah, permission denied. Okay, so what I need to do, let me just unmount and let me just open as administrator. Registered user. Let me just do a login, and then we can access the same, because this way you get the right access. Because I have done totally two things when I did this test setup, so that is just anonymous login. You can do a read only, it will mount as read only file system. If you do a registered user, it will give the read and write access. So let me just redo this copy, because this setup almost I'm revisiting nearly after 10 days of doing this entire experiment. So let me do a paste. Yeah, so you can see here now it is accessible. I can do a read write access on the same. So this way it is also a safer measure, because accidentally if you tend to delete or do any editing, you can make sure that it doesn't happen. So you can see the speed, it's around 50 Mbps, which is megabytes per second. Let me take a small calculator, so which is around 50 we can calculate, because on average now it is dropping down to 38 and 40 Mbps. So let us take an average of say 40 Mbps, because it is still continue to drop. So into 8, so which is like 320 Mbps, which is megabits per second, so which is not bad. So in this configuration, so once again it depends on the VM parameters, and because this is not a real physical setup. So in case if I have a real physical server, maybe it may touch a gigabit of speed, or maybe 800 or 900 Mbps, depends on hard disk and various RAID levels as such. So it's almost about to complete this 2.6 GB file transfer. Let us just wait for a couple of seconds, and we can see the overall operation. So as you can see, it has just successfully completed the same, and we got this entire file over here. You can see its properties 2.6 GBs of file transfer done successfully. So what we can do is we can just unmount this, and we can go back to our FreeNAS setup, and we can see here one time before before if I do any disk swap or removal of this virtual drive, you can see here, you can confirm everything is in place. So you can go here, you can check the volume status, you can go back, and then you can check the overall configuration of the same. So let me do a quick shutdown, and over here let me do a shutdown of this FreeNAS server, and then we can start fiddling around with this virtual drive images as such. So guys, as you can see here sorry, the FreeNAS server is finally down, and we can go to settings, and we can go to storage, and we can just randomly pull any of a couple of drives, and we can do a delete. We can right click and remove attachment, and we can delete let's say one more drive in this pool, this 10. So we can delete like this randomly, because it is RAID level 10. Two drives can have simultaneous failures, so still it should cope up as well. So what we can do is we can say okay. So although you delete the same, it is still going to exist in your system. So you can go here, you can go to VirtualBox VMs, and if you go to FreeNAS, you can see here the drive 2 and 10, it is still existing. It is not physically deleted as such. So what you can do is you can boot your FreeNAS, and it is going to alert that a couple of drives it is unable to access the same. So let me just boot into the same, and we can see its status inside. So we are back, and the system is up again, as you can see here, and you can go to the VM settings. You can see here it is missing a couple of drives since we have removed the drive number 2 and 10 over here. So what we can do is, at this stage we can go here and we can physically delete the same. You can see here these are the drive images, both of them together it is like 128 GB or so. So let us do a shift delete, and it's just going to delete the same, and you can see the FreeNAS what it is alerting for the missing drives. So view volumes, so we can go to Titan Wall and see the volume status. So technically, although it is missing couple of drives, so we should be able to access and retrieve the data, and it should be intact. So you can see here, over here the status it is showing as critical. You can see the state is degraded, and one or a couple of drives it says that it is missing. So let's close this alert, and let's load once again the volume status, and we can see what exactly it reports. So you can see here it says a couple of drives are unavailable in this specific mirror 3 and mirror 0. So it says a couple of drives are unavailable. Due to the same, it says the entire volume is degraded. But having said that, it is still have enough drives because it is a RAID level 10. So it should continue to exist, and I should be able to still mount the same. Let us do a test over here. So we should be able to mount the same, and I can go to the folder YouTube. So you can see here we can still able to access this file. So what I can do is I can do an unmount, and what we can do is at this stage we can go back and we can do a shutdown of the same. And meanwhile, while it is shutting down, we can also create two disk images, and we can link or hook to this SATA controller. So over here, so what we can do is we can create a couple of SATA disks. So add disk, you can see here FreeNAS is powered off. So you can do a right click, add disk. So I want to create a new disk, so you can set VDI, fixed size, and in this case we need 80 GB of space, and we can call this as HDD B2. The reason I'm choosing a different name each time is it is showing some kind of error. So I want to keep this hard disk, newly created hard disk name each time unique. So this time I'm creating with 80 GB of space. Please note, you must have seen earlier it is 60 GB of space. So this mimics, assume you are replacing 1 TB old drives, or damaged, or drives which are not anymore working with new upgraded drives. So you can imagine a scenario like this. So I'm creating it. So you can see here a new disk image is added to this SATA controller, and we can create one more drive same way, HDD B10, and we can set once again 80 GB of space. So we can also see how ZFS builds the overall pool with this new drives. So let me give OK, and let us start the FreeNAS once again. Yep. So you can see the FreeNAS server is up once again. Let me log in, and we can see the current state of our ZFS pool. Yeah, we are inside, and we can go to view disks. So you can see here it has been added. So totally once again it is showing 8 drives, and a couple of them of around 85 or 86 GB, and that is again due to the metadata or something to do with VirtualBox. So you can go to volumes, and you can select this Titan volume, and it is loading the same, and I think this time it is going to show us an option as replace or drive or something like that. So let us wait till it loads. Yeah, you can see here it says it is unavailable, and you can click this empty drive, and you can see here it shows the option as replace, whereas if you click the existing drives which are a part of the existing ZFS pool, you can, or ZFS volume, you can say it is already it shows the options as edit, offline, and replace and stuff like that. So you can go here and you can do a replace. It is doing the replace operation. So this amount of time it takes, it also depends on the amount of data which contains in this ZFS pool, I think so, because earlier I have done certain other trials. In that case it is actually an empty ZFS pool, and it didn't took this much amount of time. So this is what I was experimenting with this FreeNAS setup. I thought it is an interesting way to explore and as well understand how you can maintain and manage your FreeNAS setup, because this is quite important. Yeah, as you can see here, it asks where you need to replace. It suggests exactly as ADA2, and it shows this option, so you can just click replace disk. So it adds this as one of the member disks in that specific mirror. So one thing you should also notice is when you click the view volumes, it shows the total size of your ZFS volume, and as the way you keep upgrading these drives, each time the amount of space, usable space, is also going to increase with respect to the same. So we can also notice that as you continue to do the same in multiple iterations, yes, it is refreshing. So we can go to view volumes. You can see here totally it is saying as 228 GB it is available. So when I started with 50 GB drives, and it is showing around 180 GB or something or so the total available ZFS pool or ZFS volume space. Whereas now after I did multiple iterations and keep updating or keep adding more space in successive iterations, it started incrementing, and finally it reached to this level. So we can go back and we can replace the other missing drive as well. So you can see throughout this operation this specific indicator is still blinking, because it still doesn't have a fully constructed ZFS pool. It has still one more missing drive. So it is going to again take some time. Let us wait. So it is back once again. You can see here it has been successfully added in the existing mirror of this Titan wall ZFS volume. So we can go to this other drive, and we can also say replace, and we can repeat the same steps, and once it is fully done, we can come back and we can see once again the state of this ZFS pool. So we are done, guys. As you can see here, it's added. So finally it shows all the disks are online. Totally there are 8 hard drives in this multiple sections. It is calling it as mirrors. So we can go back to view volumes, and you can see currently it has not updated because currently it has not upgraded because it doesn't have additional drives. It needs these pairs, whichever you can see here. Let me click this and let me click it. So it needs these pairs like ADA2P2 and ADA3P2, like that. Each pair should be beyond that same capacity. Currently it has one drive 60 GB and the other drive is 80 GB. So this is the reason it is not yet upgraded. So you can see here it shows the same value. So as the way you repeat this iteration, sometimes you can do a single disk swap, you can do multiple disk swap, it can be even a real system. So in case if you do that, this is what exactly happens. So we can go here and we can see the status. Once you click, it turned into green status, so it says that system is all fine and it is all sorted out, and it is again back to normal, and no more it shows the state as degraded. So guys, what I have done is I have done repeating the steps over and over again, so that we get multiple drives subsequently upgraded to 80 GB drives, as you can see over here. So I have repeated the same. I have done a rebuild of B1 and B7 and then B3 and B4, which are my drive numbers. So this way I have just left a couple of drives, which is 5 and 6, you can see here. So 5 and 6 which is not yet upgraded. So with that, what happens is each time you replace these drives, the ZFS does what is called as resilvering, and it is trying to build your entire ZFS volume, or building the volume, as you generally say with NAS terminology. So it is building the same till when it is not yet fully built the same, it is going to show this warning. Once it is overall, it is going to change green automatically, even though you don't click the same. So you can go back and then you can check its status once in a while. So you can see here resilvering is done, but it is just not updated in the screen. So you can go back and you can see view disks, and it shows except couple of drives, all other drives are upgraded to 80 GB drives. So we can go back and we can also see how much is the new upgraded space. So we got some additional GBs. You can see here earlier it is around 228 GBs, whereas now it shows around 268 GB. So this way you can simulate a complete drive upgrade of your FreeNAS configured in RAID level 10 ZFS pool or ZFS volume. So this way you can incrementally upgrade your system. So in case you have all the drives populated with the 4 GB drives, and in case you are replacing with 8 GB drives, you can do each drive subsequently. Since it is RAID level 10, I can take each time I can swap a couple of drives simultaneously, and I can do an entire volume rebuild this way. So that's all guys. I hope you guys loved watching this demo. In case if you have any questions regarding FreeNAS and the RAID levels and any specific configuration regarding datasets and stuff like that, you can discuss in YouTube comments, or you can discuss in the forum, the Linux channel and the FreeBSD channel discussion forum. So see you guys, have a nice day, stay tuned, bye bye.